Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Scenic View podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, your communications director here at SEANC, alongside Executive Director Artis Watkins, Government Relations Director Suzanne Beasley, and podcast producer Sam Klein. Welcome, everyone.
Let's go.
Let's have a great episode. All right, today is Thursday, June 12th. It's already June 12th. That's like half of the year is already gone. Can you believe that?
Just that quick.
That's how it happens.
It has been really quick, it seems like. It seems like only yesterday it was 2024.
Every day is a week in 2025. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I think this might be the hottest week of the year so far. It's really muggy.
I think the first thing you said is it. I think this is the hottest year I remember to this point. Like winter was warm. The spring was really warm.
Yeah, I always think that August is like the hottest time of the year, but
it will be.
I think we're all just miserable.
If it gets worse than this,
it's going to get a lot worse.
Oh yeah, we're not even there yet.
I went to a soccer tournament over the weekend. It poured down rain for 20 minutes, and they had everyone evacuating. And then as soon as we came back in, I was like, "I'm sticky."
Well, the steam, right?
Yeah,
here.
We had a huge flash flood in Sanford. Did y'all see that? Like our downtown flooded. We had like 5 inches of rain in like 2 hours.
We seem to get a lot of these.
It was insane. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we're the epicenter of
everything.
Of climate change in the world. Sanford.
That's where it all happens.
But yeah, so I guess we'll just dive right in. What's going on at the legislature? Any new updates to?
Oh, goodness. Again, another light week. Budget talks are still happening behind closed doors. Nobody's sharing any details yet, so I don't have anything new to share with you guys. What we are hearing this week that's different from last week is that they are probably going to go home at the end of the month with no budget.
Oh.
With no budget. Maybe take off July, possibly come back in August, possibly in October. So it's a big old bunch of who knows.
Wow, that's news. Breaking news. We need a little...
Well, it's just a different rumor.
We should get a breaking news button.
And there's always rumors of them, yeah.
And each chamber has their own rumors. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
But remember, back in the day when it was a co-speakership on the House side, and they left.
They did.
They left the Senate. The Senate didn't know the House had left.
Well,
which is kind of
that
Senate
happened.
Has done that to
literally
the House.
happened.
The Senate's done that to the House too. So
it sounds so petty.
Well, last week you said that the tax plans are the big stumbling block right now. Is that?
Yeah, because if you can't agree amongst yourselves what you want to bring in,
then nothing else is going to work.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you think absent of any news on that front is maybe that's why we're seeing little tweets from like Luke Farley talking about raises for his employees and...
Right. So what John's talking about last Tuesday, because it was Council Estate Meeting Day, Commissioner Luke Farley, Department of Labor, put out a video tweet that said, hey, good news. I want to announce a couple things from the Department of Labor. One was about human trafficking, and the other one was we're going to give, not the legislature, but that the Department of Labor itself was going to increase safety and compliance officer salaries by 5%.
Yeah.
And
where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he didn't say one has to assume vacant positions. The problem is, what were those positions doing? Because Department of Labor is very small.
You used to work there, right?
I worked. I did work there
extensively.
Definitely understand the Department of Labor. But it's such a vital department that is so much smaller than it really should be. That I don't know where you're taking money to get that. Anyway, I don't know where he's getting it. Maybe we can find some more about that out. But it's not the only agency doing it.
Yeah. We also had some announcements about DMV this week.
Yeah,
right?
I saw. So there was also a tweet or X post from NCDOT, their official account, and it was welcoming 80 new driver's license examiners with DMV. So that's great. That's headed in the right direction. But were these positions already positions that were there and they just were vacant? Or are these additional positions like, former Commissioner Wayne Goodwin asked for? There's a little bit of confusion about where they're coming from.
80 additional examiners.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the question. Everybody's saying we're going to make DMV more efficient. Well, if you fill the vacancies, that's a
They will be more efficient.
Yeah, they'll definitely be more efficient because you'll have more people. That's what the employees there have been telling God and everybody, and nobody's listening. And that's what Commissioner Goodwin told the legislature before was we need even more than we have.
Yeah.
The population has ballooned. We're working with the same number of examiners. Of course, people are going to stand in lines.
And there was some news also about pay increase that the examiners would get. Is that correct?
Yes. So that happened just a few weeks ago, similar to what Department of Labor apparently is doing, where they're targeting some pay increases in-house before the legislature gets the budget done. A message went out from DOT to driver's license examiners, and it said, look, we're reclassifying y'all. And so, for instance, for a driver's license examiner 1, that position will be granted $844 to bring them closer to market rate. And then once the budget's passed, it says if funding is available, the employees in the driver's license examiner 1 positions will be granted the remainder of the difference to bring them to market rate, which is a really strange thing. $844 per driver license examiner 1 is very specific.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like we're giving you a down payment on bringing you up to market rate, and we may or may not actually do the rest.
If that money exists.
So the agencies seem to be, they're so desperate that they're getting money from somewhere, taking it upon themselves to say, we can't keep these people or go get these people if we don't take every dollar and throw it at this issue. And that begs a larger question. We can all agree. You're watching agency heads from both parties whose big bosses from opposite parties say, yeah, we're going to raise certain people's salaries in-house out of necessity. Why are these agency heads? It's clear there's an issue. Why are they not down there screaming at the legislature that, guys, you're talking about having one agency look at everybody's positions and salaries and determine if they're efficient? These agency heads seem to be saying things are not efficient over here. We got to move some money around because what we're doing is not efficient. That is the opposite of saying you're going to put one council estate member in charge of deciding how to make government efficient.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing to me. It's a completely different philosophy to say, yep, let the agency heads figure out, here's your money, figure out how you can best use it, versus we're going to tell you how to be efficient. And both of those things are happening at the same time.
Yeah. It seems like.
Is that efficient?
No, crazy inefficient.
So didn't the House budget kind of leave it up to agency heads to make cuts more so than the...
Yeah, they gave them there's this amount of money that you've got to cut, and however many positions that takes, y'all got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right, which, okay, let's walk through that, though. Most of the agencies don't have... They've been cutting and cutting and cutting. Again, North Carolina's population has grown and grown and grown. The only way to continue to cut across the board in every agency with the population growing is to give people less, to give North Carolinians less safety, less services, less health.
To take it a step further, like these actions at labor and at DMV show that there needs to be more investment, not less. I mean, there needs to be more investment in jobs. It's just an admission of that, right? I mean.
But and at the same time, if you're making agencies do it this way, I don't know how Commissioner Farley's getting the money for the 5% for compliance and safety folks. I also don't know if that means Occupational Safety and Health Administration folks, or if it extends all the way to boiler and pressure vessel, elevator and amusement devices, folks like that who do things that are definitely compliance and safety, but I don't know when he says compliance and safety if they're included. So when he's giving certain raises, is that leaving a problem somewhere else? And again, there's administrative people that support those functions. And trust me, without them, those safety officers will tell you they can't get the job done. Are those folks being covered?
And I think it points out that we can't wait until September for another budget. I mean, it's time to get something done, right?
One would think.
Obviously. If these two agencies...
I mean, we're in critical vacancy mode and have been for so long, and cutting positions in these budgets, whatever's in the final budget, that may make that vacancy rate look better on paper. But like you were just saying, services are going to suffer.
Well, you can have all the compliance officers in the world, but if nobody's there to process the work they do,
Then
it still bogs down and you end up with safety as an issue. So I'm really just curious. I hope and pray that's not putting agency heads further in a position of having to rob Peter to pay Paul, because that catches up.
Yeah. So obviously we'll keep watching the state budget. And
absolutely.
But it's fascinating to watch. Again, on the one hand, there's so much of an argument being made down there to centralize all of these efficiencies and have the auditor determine them. And on the other hand, the agencies are being very free willy right now out of necessity. Yeah. So I can't really tell where we're headed in the long run. And that's where it becomes scary from a policy perspective. Like, the legislature needs to know. And in these subcommittee meetings of appropriations, that's where traditionally you go and you say, I've got a hell of a problem with this one group, and I need to pay them more.
Just an aside, doesn't it seem some of these agency heads are a little more vocal than in years past? To me, especially like the auditor. I know folks...
Social media has probably helped that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean...
But they're not vocal about their positions. Like, they'll tell other people, we can't afford to have less positions, but they're not being vocal with the legislature about that for whatever reasons.
Yeah. So if you're an agency head and you want more investment in your department,
well, if you think the public, if you think it's going to affect the public's life, the quality of life of the public, if you have less people, we need to hear from you. The public needs you to speak.
Yeah.
And was it last year or the year before we had our press conference and had folks from both sides of the aisle supporting us, right?
It was all Republicans that were
at the press conference.
Oh, yeah.
But we did have support on both sides. But that was an impactful press conference. I mean, that was across the board in state government. Is it David Smith?
Yeah.
Ag, he's
such a legend.
Yeah, and he's like, it's never been this bad. It's never been this bad. So.
And by this bad, what he was talking about is we've never had such a vacancy crisis where we just couldn't fill positions because of the salary and workload that it was putting the agency in that big a bind trying to provide services, in their case, to all the taxpayers, but especially to farmers and other folks involved in some way with agriculture or life sciences.
And we're still in that crisis. So
another issue that came up last week, the end of the week, I guess it was Thursday, State Treasurer Brad Briner announced that the state health plan is kind of at an impasse with CVS Caremark. I guess it's the PBM contract for the state health plan.
Lots of confusion, it seems like.
I was confused reading it right there.
Well, our members think that this contractual issue is because of moving to Aetna.
Yeah, and it's CVS Caremark was the PBM under Blue Cross as well. It's totally different.
Yeah.
And PBM is Pharmacy Benefits Manager.
Yeah.
So CVS Caremark and Aetna have a shared relationship in terms of ownership, parent company situation. But these are two different contracts. And like John said, CVS Caremark was our PBM under Blue Cross Blue Shield as well when they were the administrator of the health plan. But this is about this current contract between the PBM and the health plan.
So Briner or the state health plan is saying that Caremark is failing to produce rebates that amount to tens of $millions since 2023. The News and Observer asked just how much, and the plan told the reporter that it was at least $10 million in 2023, and it could be $21 million in 2024. That's a huge chunk of money. And they also say that Caremark is demanding to rewrite parts of the current contract. And if the plan had to do that, it could cause premiums to go up annually from $100 to $500 per member.
Yeah.
So a sticky situation, I guess.
Well, I mean, we've been through this about PBM in the past, and we're not alone in this. Most health plans are like this. But with Wegovy, the weight loss drug, as an example, that was marked up 4,000% from where it's sold around the world. And we were getting a 40% rebate on that drug. That doesn't make you feel any better. You're still
didn't even make a dent.
You're still thousands of percentage points more than you should be paying for it if you're paying something competitive with the rest of the world.
So judging by the News and Observer story, it seemed to me that this whole problem started right around that time when we stopped covering GLP-1 drugs. And a drug called Humira, which is for rheumatoid arthritis. Apparently, that caused the rift between CVS Caremark and the plan.
Yes, I mean, that was a massive amount of money that was no longer being spent by the health plan on certain drugs. And so what'll be interesting is getting the rest of this story from the health plan. I think we've got initial indications that somebody from the health plan is going to come over here, maybe even the treasurer.
Yeah.
And talk about this situation because we have so many members so confused over it. And we're seeing a lot of comments about, we'll vote them out. There's a lot of anger at the treasurer over this. And I think it'd be good for him to explain what's happening here because it's my understanding that in this case, the treasurer and Tom Friedman, the executive administrator of the plan, are actually fighting to not have you overcharged through this contract, to not renegotiate it just so people can kind of get back money they might be overcharging you somewhere else.
Yeah.
But all that remains to be seen. We'll have to see how that plays out. This is something scenic with previous Treasurer Falwell. It's the kind of thing we've been talking about forever. We don't have transparency in seeing what our contractual obligations are, in seeing what places, if any, money runs through on the way back home to the state, and that's problematic. So we have to rely. It's not efficient. But, it's the people's money.
So stay tuned for that because I think that we will probably have someone from the treasurer's office over to help us with this this issue a little bit.
So just hang on. More information.
Yeah, I know they're trying to work it out. Obviously, what they're doing is their job. They're trying to work it out with CVS Caremark and not have to have a huge hoopla over it. That's efficient. If they can make sure that the health plan members' rights are represented and amicably resolve this, great. But,
So the only other thing I have for this week was you spoke, artists, at was it the state and local government?
House, state, and local government yesterday. So yesterday? Day before yesterday. It was Tuesday. Senate Bill 124 is a short bill, but the bottom line is it streamlines being able to hire folks when they apply. Right now, it takes about 182 days, I believe, Director Meyer said in committee to, get somebody on board after they're hired. It's crazy. It's just
182.
crazy.
That's 182
days. Yeah, so people leave. You're hired.
You can wait 6 months for a job.
Exactly. They've got to find something else. So the bill passed fine, but we enjoy a great relationship with Director Meyer and her staff, and there was a lot of work with legislators, Senator Corbin. Everybody worked with him on this bill. So just a good bill. Good bill.
Senator Corbin seems to really want to make sure that we can broaden the pool where it doesn't affect the public negatively, broaden the pool of people who can apply for something.
Mm-hmm. So imagine having to wait 180 days for your job.
Yeah, nobody can do that. I mean, they've gone somewhere else and found another job.
And so people want efficiency, and they should.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like this was a great step, in my opinion, that the legislature is acknowledging we've got somebody that everybody seems to trust as our director of HR, and we need to let her modernize this thing and do her job. I'm hoping that's where they are anyway.
The only thing I will say is that sometimes you can overcorrect in that situation because we know from putting jobs out that if you make it way too easy for people to apply, you'll get like 1 million job applications for people
who may or may not be qualified for the position that they
or not even real people. So
not even
It's like those apply through LinkedIn things,
or applying so they can keep getting their unemployment
uploaded, and
yeah. But I mean, there's no question that State Human Resources Act needed to be looked at. The problem is, over the years, people would tend to call pieces of that act red tape that were just kind of normal protections, guardrails.
Yeah.
That give the employees rights, but also responsibilities, and give, some guardrails for supervisors to know you can get rid of somebody for this reason, but not this one, so that they don't go free willy, like we keep saying today.
Mm-hmm.
And that was important. So, because that's not red tape. That's just
It's kind of what
Yeah.
I've
Having
said
some
before.
boundaries.
It's like shipping a fragile package and not putting any bubble wrap around
Exactly.
There you go.
So she's
Great
trying
analogy.
to actually modernize and get rid of the true red tape, but without breaking anything while she's doing it. So that's a
And
good
she's
sign.
so meticulous. So,
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And maybe we should have her on too, because honestly, I think it would be very helpful if folks could hear what are the rights of a state employee and what are the responsibilities of a state employee.
and Director Meyer's been in state government for
Ever.
40 years. So she knows.
So that's another invite. We just need to start. I think we need to get an invite.
We do pretty
Like
much
a-
invite everyone we know.
Yeah, anyone can come on here.
Yeah,
I don't
there's-
feel special anymore. Maybe we should get some nice embossed invitations and send them out to people because
Like some wedding kind of
yeah,
invitation.
yeah. You are cordially invited to
the
Scenic View podcast.
We will give you a candy bar.
That'll
I don't
just be
hate that
taped to the
idea.
invitation, kind of like the little kid Valentine.
Oh,
It's like
yeah, that's
A
wrong.
sucker in the middle of it.
So before we get to my question of the week, I think we should have a second to do. We should maybe have a new segment where it's like, Sam, what's going on in your world? What's going on in your generation right now?
In your whole generation, she has to speak for the whole
Yes,
generation.
be the voice
That's
of
a
your
lot pressure.
generation.
I don't want to.
But yeah, I think we should have the Gen Z minute on the podcast.
Yeah, I like that.
What about
Going on
Taylor
here.
Swift?
I was going
buying
to say,
her
has
new-
Taylor Swift done anything?
Taylor Swift has bought her masters back.
Yeah.
She owns every single song she has ever written.
We should have led with that.
Again.
My goodness.
She also just
Recut.
dropped her summer merch. There's some people who are judging it, but not every merch is going to be for everyone.
That's right.
What's the vibe on her now? Is she still cool or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still cool. She's just kind of laying low right
You
now. I mean,
sounded so old.
she just finished doing a tour for 2 years, so she's kind of
Yeah.
just
Resting.
hanging out, relaxing at home.
Hello, fellow teenagers. No, she did go to a wedding this week. Was it
Yes,
this weekend?
it was Travis Kelce's cousin. She attended the wedding with him.
And my daughter has shown me that the invitation said Taylor and Travis Kelce. So
Love
it's like, are they
that.
married now or what?
This is a deep dive on Taylor this week.
And then Sabrina Carpenter just announced her new album coming out on August 29th. It is called Man's Best Friend, and the first song that she has released, that was the single for it, is called Man-Child.
And
I don't
she-
know where we're going with that, but it feels dangerous.
It's fun. I'm excited.
Petey Pablo, the podcast buffet,
Yep.
is. That's what he has to say.
The reason it's related to Taylor Swift is because Sabrina Carpenter opened for Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour, and Taylor also posted a tweet before Man-Child came out and said it's going to be another Sabrina Carpenter summer.
Okay.
And who has any issue with that, right?
I don't.
I
know
mean,
who
it was so
Sabrina
much fun
Carpenter
last
is.
summer.
Yeah.
I had a great time last summer listening to the short and sweet.
It's always
I
a
got
George
I
Strait
got to go to
summer.
that tour.
I'm a big fan of Sabrina Carpenter, but I digress. So let's get to John's wacky weird question of the week.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
I gotta scroll up on my computer here. Forgot my question there for a second. So Father's Day is this weekend. I hope you guys remembered that.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. So with that in mind, our question of the week is, who is your favorite TV dad?
Ooh.
And so let's just clear the air and get this one out of the way. Andy Griffith, North Carolina. He has to be the perfect TV dad emeritus. So we'll not say him, right? That was like my man growing up. I guess I had to watch a lot of Andy Griffith. I'm going to throw a couple out. Danny Tanner. Okay, so I guess I'm a TGIF kid. Like I watched that growing up.
Mhm.
So Danny Tanner from Full House.
Yeah.
And the Winslow guy from Family Matters.
I know who you're talking about. Can't remember the name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Carl Winslow.
Oh, Carl Winslow.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Family Matters, yes. So those are my two, I guess. Anybody got anything? You could even say like Walter White from Breaking Bad. He was a dad, right? I mean, he was
Isn't it-
doing the most.
Corey
I've not
good.
Matthews.
seen-
Corey Matthews.
And Alan Matthews.
From what's that from?
Alan Matthews is Corey's dad in Boy Meets World.
Okay.
And then Corey is a dad
Corey, obviously.
in Girl Meets World.
Okay.
Great dads. I think Alan probably beats out Corey, but
Yeah. What about Tim? Tim Allen from Home Improvement. Y'all are
Yeah.
really quiet.
I think it's because the first
Wouldn't have
person that comes to mind
Bill
to me is Bill Cosby.
I knew
can't think
it.
of the
See,
name.
that's
that was
Yeah.
there.
like that's like the one you don't want to say, but it's the one, right?
Well, that character was a really great. They were great parents.
Yeah.
They were.
Both characters that played the parents on Cosby. They were great parents. I thought
Well,
they'd
and
be
so
fun to have as parents.
the opposite dynamic, because the Cosbys, they were a little well off. He had a doctor and a lawyer for parents, but Roseanne and
Oh, yeah.
Dan
was
O'Connor.
Dan, yeah. So they were working class.
Dan Connor, yeah.
You know, but yeah, Dan was a hoot.
Yeah. John Goodman,
John
also
Goodman,
a great dad on The Righteous Gemstones. So
And a shout out to Ward Cleaver, who
Oh, Lord.
is the only dad I ever saw who stayed in a starched shirt until bedtime. Like, no, that's
might
not
have
true.
slept in it.
He did change into a cardigan sometimes for dinner,
Ah.
but he was always pleated. And yeah, that was for the young people. Sam's looking so confused. There was a show that predated us by decades,
Beaver?
but it was on TV all the time for whatever reason,
We still.
called Leave It to Beaver. I think it was in the 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know Leave It to Beaver. We have
Yeah.
it on DVD at home.
Oh, okay. Well, Ward Cleaver.
I was thinking of someone, and I was like,
Oh.
I don't know his name, but
Michael Landon, Little
Oh,
House
yeah.
on the Prairie.
Oh, now I did like him as, yeah.
8 Simple Rules.
Frontier
The
Dad.
Yeah.
The dad from 8 Simple Rules.
That's a movie, right?
No, 8
Oh, you're
Simple
talking
Rules
about
is
the
a sitcom
Oh,
TV
okay.
show.
I thought you were talking about 10
John
Things I Hate
Ritter.
About You. Oh, yeah, John Ritter.
Yeah.
So that's TV dad moment. But anybody want to share anything about their dads coming in, or anyone in their life as their father figure? I will start. My dad is currentently in the hospital right now, so I
Sending good vibes.
yeah, but I'm in a kind of a reminiscent mood these days.
Yeah.
But he's just such a great dad. He works really hard. He's always worked hard my whole life, and just hoping he'll get better. But it's going to be an interesting Father's Day for us, I think.
Yeah.
What are any memories of your father?
I, this one just sticks out to me. I'm like you. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. But my dad worked a lot when we were kids. So he, was at home a lot. He worked for the phone company, Southern Bell. Lots of overtime to raise a family of 5. But I twirled baton my whole life as a child. And there was the Salvation Army gym just up the street here, a competition that I was in, and my dad never made it to he went to the brothers, baseball games, but mom went with me to baton. But I remember looking up in the doorway, not expecting my dad to be there at all, and he was peeping over the people crammed in the doorway watching. And I just remember right now to this moment how full of, just my
Yeah.
dad's here. Let me
That's
march.
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm not going to miss this 2-spin. My daddy's watching. Yeah, I got a cool dad.
that's awesome.
I got Rambo.
Oh yeah,
You do have
Rambo is
That's
Rambo.
about your dad.
In the military until I was 5, and then he was a police officer in Tennessee until I was about 10. Now he trains physical technical surveillance to military personnel. Travels all over the place. I get to go with him every now and then. He'll go to Florida, go to California, Hawaii. He's in Clarksville, Tennessee right now, which is actually where I grew up. I was a
Mhm.
little jealous. I was like, hey, why didn't you tell me? I would like to
Aw.
go see some friends from my childhood. But he's been working like crazy. He's worked like crazy my whole life. When he's home, though, he's relaxing or working on his own special projects. He likes to build a lot of stuff. So anytime I want something
So-
specific, furniture-wise, I just call him.
So you have a brother. Do you have any other siblings?
Nope. It's just me and
so
him.
you're his little girl then, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know how that is, John.
I'm the little girl in general because throughout college, my brother, he was not the one who was calling the parents.
So
Wasn't doing it. I called mom pretty much every day. I called dad every day. I was like, hey, just want to chat.
So for reference for me, if you brought boys home, would he be waiting with a gun there?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like, actually?
Like the song Sitting
Yeah.
Out Back 30-30 in his lap. Yep, that would be my dad.
That's so funny.
He'd be practicing with the targets out there when they showed up. He wouldn't even just be
Oh,
sitting
wow.
out there with it. He'd be
That's so
practicing.
funny. My dad's rule was if you didn't walk in the door and shake his hand. If daddy got up out of his chair and shook hands, then I was okay.
Let me tell you how you do it with the boyfriends of the daughters.
Oh, please do.
You have them work in the yard at some point,
Yeah.
and that will
Yeah.
tell you everything you need to
Yeah.
know about
Mhm.
whether that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
My daughter hears this. You know what I'm talking about.
My daddy would be
Been down
sending
that
him to
road.
the barn. He wants them to
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
They gonna be moving
I had
the
a
giant
friend,
round bell that weighs 100
yeah.
pounds. They gonna be cleaning the stalls.
Prove yourself, young man.
It's funny, like my dad had 2 boys, right? So he never had a girl. He was not a girl dad, and I can't imagine him having a girl. like I have a girl
'cause you
now,
didn't see
and
it,
it's totally different, like it's
Mhm.
because I also have a boy, and like you're like, oh yeah, whatever, like any, like he's
Okay.
like.
Suzanne and I, we're not whatever
But you
about
gotta,
our sons.
but you got to protect the girl, So I don't know. So it
Look
would
at
just be
Suzanne's face. She's like, what?
y'all are
I
appalled.
got
I'll
I got
whoop
the brother
somebody over that boy now.
I got the brother protection in Raleigh.
There you go.
There you go.
Everybody's watching Sam, huh?
His whole friend group watches me like a hawk. He will most likely, if I'm getting hit on at a bar and I clearly am uncomfortable with it, he'll send 3 or 4 of his friends over before he'll actually come over. He's like, see if you can diffuse the situation. If you can't, I'll come over.
She's got a whole posse of bodyguards.
And next thing you know, he
Really?
comes over, and as soon as they see him, they're like, you're the brother, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. And they just immediately turn around and walk away.
One more question
Mm.
about your living situation
Yeah.
growing up. Did you feel any pressure to go into the military or your brother because he did? No.
No. He was the only one in his family who did it too. My grandpa wasn't. Well, my grandpa on my mom's side was, but
Okay.
there was never any pressure from him for us to join it. There was never any pressure from our mom to be a nurse or anything. They just said, whatever you want to do, we'll support you.
Mhm.
As long as you are not living under our roof for the rest of your life.
Yeah, just get out of.
Yeah.
That's where I am too. Just
Yeah.
Anyway,
Get out.
It's like, we love you, but we don't want you living here forever.
yeah.
So
Well, I think that's our episode. Do you have anything? Anybody else have anything to share?
I could share stuff, but
I was going to say, not for the good of the.
yeah,
of
it
the
wouldn't help
group.
anything here.
We came off the rails there at the end, but it was tight until the end. Well, thanks for joining us this week, and we will get back with you next week.
Bye.